The Elvis trailer finally came out today. Elvis Presley biopic directed by Baz Luhrmann, starring Tom Hanks. And I'm just looking up now, what's the name of Austin Butler plays Elvis Presley. So supposedly there was a long search to find the actor who will play Elvis. And a lot of great actors have played Elvis before. I think I was speaking just briefly before about John Carpenter. He directed an Elvis movie in 1979 to start Kurt Russell as Elvis Presley. John Rhys Myers, that's to say his name. He played Elvis Presley in a TV miniseries back in the mid 2000s. One of my favorite Elvises is the fictional take of Elvis Presley Bruce Campbell did in Bubba Hotep. There's been heaps of them. David Keith as well did it. Or is it Keith David? I think a lot of people have gotten that confused, haven't they? Anyway, let's move on. So I haven't seen this trailer yet, so I thought it would be really cool. We'll watch it together. So we're going to check out the trailer for Elvis right now. So Tom Hanks plays Colonel Tom Parker, and Austin Butler plays Elvis. Baz Luhrmann directs. You know, I'm not the biggest Baz Luhrmann fan. Some movies I like, some I don't. But yeah, let's check this out. Gatsby, for example, I didn't like. But let's check out what this trailer has for us. I'm going to pause, talk about it throughout, just to make sure that copyright isn't too bad. All right, here we go.
There are some who make me out to be the villain.
First off, so Tom Hanks plays Colonel Tom Parker right there. That doesn't sound like Colonel Tom Parker. So I'm a big Elvis Presley fan. I've seen a bunch of documentaries with Colonel Tom Parker, and he doesn't have that kind of accent. I don't know what Tom Hanks is going for here. Let's keep watching. All right.
This is story.
Let's don't let a good thing die.
Are you born with destiny? Or does it just come knocking at your door?
As a young singer from Memphis, Tennessee, give him a warm, hayride welcome, Mr. Elvis Presley. Get a haircut, buttercup.
In that moment, I watched that skinny boy transform into a superhero.
So it kind of makes me laugh a bit because I don't know if you've ever seen Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. That's a great kind of spoof of these music biopics that starred John C. Reilly, kind of like as a fictionalized caricature of Johnny Cash. Kind of took the spoof of those movies. And there's a scene in the film where he starts singing on stage, the most kind of innocent, love song you can. But then all of a sudden, the women start screaming and tearing their clothes off and gyrating, and the parents are yelling, "This is the work of the devil," what have you. That kind of reminded me of it right there. Luhrmann clearly, he's pushing the whole the pelvis thing. And I guess, back then it was such a big scandalous thing, right? So. And let me just say, Austin Butler really makes a convincing young Elvis. A lot of people kind of forget, they think of the older Elvis with the kind of like the mutton chops, and you got a little, heavy set later in his life. When he was young, he was quite kind of like a pretty boy. He really was. Especially those eyes. Those eyes really stuck out and such, and all these features and everything. So, really interesting casting. Let's keep watching. The music there with the whole kind of electric guitar and everything. I wonder if what type of music approach Luhrmann's going to take with this. If he's going to use kind of like modern music, rock sensibilities, and throw it in kind of in there, and to kind of like make it like a not as conventional. He's not going to rely too much on the Presley catalog. I don't know about that. We'll see. Just got a few comments here. Oh Lord. Anyway, let's continue on.
I wish to promote you, Mr. Presley.
Are
you ready to fly? I'm ready.
ready to fly.
Tonight, all of America will be talking about Elvis Presley.
I can't move, I can't sing. Some people want to put me in jail. So else move it.
They might put me in jail for walking across the street with your famous white boy.
The way he sings is God-given. So there can't be nothing wrong with it.
It's really interesting. So they're definitely going to go through like the whole scope of Elvis Presley's career. You see stuff from like the 68 special, you see stuff from his Vegas years. I wonder if they're going to go like later on in his life as well, when he's much more heavy set and he was very unhealthy as well. They're going to do the whole thing. I mean, if they're going to cover all of this territory, it's going to be a long movie. It really is. I can foresee it being kind of like almost up to 3 hours because, you know, if anyone knows about Elvis Presley's life, he's went through lots of different phases. And, you know, just, yeah, there's a lot of ground to cover there if he's going to go through that whole kind of sphere. It's interesting to see how he goes about it. I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to go back and forth and kind of mix it up a bit. You know, I just feel that that's what Lerman's going to kind of go with it. Let's see. Let's keep watching.
Martin Luther King has been shot to death in Memphis.
That's all right with you.
Tragedy, but it has nothing to do with us.
It has everything to do with us.
Oh, my darling, I hunger for your touch.
Whoever once told me that things are too dangerous to say. Long before the show, and nobody's gonna remember me. I need to get back to who I really am. And who are you, Elvis?
Who is he? He's the king. That's who he is. I really dig in some of this stuff here. I think it's a kind of like larger than life, kind of almost operatic approach that kind of Lerman has with his material. Can really work here with Elvis' story because Elvis Presley, you know, was just like, he was larger than life. In many ways, he was kind of like the first huge modern day pop culture phenomenon. You know, people forget back in the time when he kind of like did what he did, there wasn't really kind of like, you know, the rock star, the music. There was popular music, but it wasn't kind of like what he was doing, the kind of like how in a mass way that he did it. And I guess it's going to tap into how kind of Colonel Tom Parker made that happen. And eventually, you know, Colonel Tom Parker just rode that guy to the ground. He really did. I mean, to die at such a young age that he died, to be so unhealthy as he was, to do all the unnecessary films and specials and everything that he did, it rose his name in prominence, that's for sure, but it also pretty much killed him. And a lot of people, I think, harbored a lot of ill will towards Colonel Tom Parker, even though he himself was just like, hey, that's what Elvis wanted. And I think it's really interesting is that I think Baz Luhrmann said that he wanted Tom Hanks's portrayal to really delve into that part of Colonel Tom Parker's life, but not demonize him. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they achieve in doing so. All right, let's keep going.
I just gotta make it watch this thing while I can. This could all be over in a flash.
We are the same, you and I. We are two odd, lonely children reaching for eternity.
Again, man, that accent, I'm just not digging it. I'm not buying it. You know, I've listened to a few interviews with Colonel Tom Parker. He seems to have kind of like just a basic kind of like, you know, I don't know if it's Southern, but kind of like, you know, more Southern than the normal accent. This one almost sounds kind of like he's like a hint of German to it or something, like almost kind of like a villain from like a vaudeville kind of play or something. It just sounds weird. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Austin Butler though, he looks really cool. In the visuals look cool and kind of like I said, that operatic feel. I really like it.
The greatest show on earth.
June 23. Awesome. Around the time of my birthday. That's a good birthday present right there. Check out that film. Like I said, if you want to see this trailer, you can actually go to the Matt's Movie Reviews YouTube channel, which is maybe what you are right now. Go check out the trailer there for yourself. But I really dig it. I like what Baz Luhrmann has done here. I think it's really cool. Again, the whole what Tom Hanks is doing, I'm not so sure. Look, he's a fantastic actor. You know, what's really interesting is that they actually filmed the Elvis movie in Queensland. Baz Luhrmann, of course, being an Australian filmmaker, and Tom Hanks was actually one of the first in Australia to get COVID. I think he brought it over from the States to America, and so when he was filming Elvis, he was COVID positive, and then his wife got sick as well, so they had to kind of shut down production. He had to mend up there. A lot of people at the time didn't know much about COVID or just how severe it could be, so there was kind of like some real, concern about Tom Hanks's health. But of course, he's still around. He's done a bunch of movies since then, and he's in good spirits, thank God. But exactly what he's doing with this Elvis, with his Colonel Tom Parker, I just don't know about that. That's it. Or everything in this trailer. That's the thing that just doesn't really. I just don't really into. But everything else looks great. I mean, and Austin Butler looks fantastic as well. Like I said, there was a real big kind of search for who was going to be, Elvis Presley, and so far, it looks good. Fingers crossed. As a big Elvis Presley fan, it will continue to be so. Thank you for watching the Matt's Movie Reviews channel. Please subscribe for more reviews, podcast interviews, and exclusive content. Also, if you would like to request a review and support my work, please join my Patreon via the link in the description below.